What is good, y'all? All right. What a crazy, crazy weekend. Let me share my screen. I hope you guys all are marked safe from this weekend. Hopefully, you guys didn't take too much loss, especially if you're trying to trade. I know it's absolutely brutal out there. Let me share my screen. Screen is up. Guess what, you guys? And as we shared on last Thursday, we had a dip, right? Let me see. A week ago, let's see where we're at here. Look at that. We had a dip on. Okay, so this was the weekend. Let me see if I can find the 1 month really quick, so you guys can see what I'm looking at here on the charts. We're gonna cover TA. Look at this. So we had basically a double dip over the last today and yesterday. Trying to remember which was it July 24th. Let me look at my calendar really quick. Blanking on the dates here. So it should have been August 1st or August 25th. That looks about right here. So July, or sorry, not August, July. So right here, July 25th, I was talking about this dip, got eaten up pretty fast. Same dip here, about where we are, 6.3. Not sure why the monthly looks like that. Why does it actually look like that? Is H bar not at? Oh, maybe I need to refresh my screen. Maybe the chart loaded, but there you go. Wrong chart. So H bar at 0.052. I thought it was at 6 cents. So I checked CoinMarketCap this morning. So still sitting at 35. I think it actually went up a few spots, which is pretty nice to see. Yeah, I mean, I'll just be blunt. No one likes to see the markets like this. I'll cover H bar TA first, and then we'll go into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's ultimately going to be the one that, of course, influences, leads the way. All that good stuff. You guys know already if you've been tracking all of the candles, right? This is a hammer. That's a good sign, right? That means it wicked all the way down here to 4.5. Absolutely mental. I was just watching over the weekend. I was like, dang, a lot of people are probably panicking. But again, if you're selling at these levels, like honestly, unless you absolutely need the money for some reason, right? That I mean, just stay out of crypto, please. Like you're gonna lose a lot of money over the course of this time if you are selling on days like this, because these are the times to be buying, right? Regardless of financial advice, not financial advice, TA, whatever, right? You cannot be selling at these levels because these are historically the lowest possible levels. Again, unless you absolutely need the money for whatever reason. So let me reopen this up. Give me 1 second here. Okay, that one. Okay, let me re-put the indicators, and then I'll jump over to the monthly. And again, let's see, stochastic. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. All right, well, I guess we'll just look at the stochastic. The RSI isn't the most important at the moment. Let's jump to the monthly. And if you guys are here in the broadcast, feel free to. If you guys are here in the space, feel free to jump up on the Jumbotron, the link to the broadcast episode 223, sponsored by Gilmore State. Shout out to Gilmore States. We'll do a sponsor shout out here shortly as well for them. Oh, it looks like the RSI merged. There you go. Okay, I didn't know you could do that here on CoinMarketCap trading view. So Hedera on the monthly, as I've been saying, right, we have not had a cross to the upside yet. I have been super public about this, right, that until we see a cross upwards, I am not touching anything that's even more risky than HBAR, right? So most of my bag will remain in HBAR. For my HBAR bag specifically, I said that we probably won't cross till September. This gap has gone wider though as of the recent drop, so it could be October, right, or longer. We just have to kind of watch and see what the charts are telling you. I can just speculate, right? I'll let you know my honest take my honest thought, but this will only take us so far, right? If you're touching H bar, obviously I won't even touch on HTS tokens right now because whatever this chart looks like, it's probably even worse, right? So there's not really a point. But again, in terms of volatility, if you're investing in H bar, you're buying your H bars, you're buying your HTS tokens, and so on, right? Each risk on asset is even more volatile. So if HBAR does a 10x, your HTS token might do like a 20x or 50x, right? Like, so just be extremely, extremely aware. And the inverse is true, right? With being super, super patient in the market. And if H bar goes down 10%, your HTS token might go down 20%, right? And that's normal. That's fine. That's healthy. Like, don't get shaken out. Don't get upset or scared. The natural flow of the market is that way, right? If Bitcoin goes down 5%, Hedera usually goes down 5 to 10%, right? That's just it's what happens. And if you're newer to the market, I understand it could be upsetting or confusing or what have you, but that's just how the market goes, right? But then when Bitcoin goes up 10%, H bar is usually up 15%, right? Or 20% sometimes, right? It's more volatile because the market cap's smaller. It's easier to move it, right? On certain kinds of news, right? Which we're going to cover here today as the show goes on. Don't forget to like and retweet if you find the show of value here today. I appreciate all of you guys who continue to show up every day, continue to support our show. So here's a monthly on H bar. I don't see a cross happening in August. I have been pretty public about that. I think the earliest cross bounce would be September or October. So we're just gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to see. September, I do believe we'll probably still see some more red. So we'll definitely see some more downside. I don't know to what level. I can't really call that. I just have to kind of go back and look at the historical lows. It's very possible, unfortunately, that we could go back to the 4 cent range. Obviously, no one wants to see that. I'm just obviously keeping it real with you guys, letting you know what could happen, right? But historically, October is a very, very bullish month. So if you are sticking around through October, you're trading right. If the cross happens in October, it lines up perfectly with my entire thesis that I've been sharing for quite some time now. Obviously, in terms of price prediction for October, I don't know. I don't. I have to go look at for H bar for Bitcoin, right? What did I tell you guys though? Look at this. So something super fascinating. And I'm not glad. Obviously, a lot of people are down quite a bit, including myself, of course. But Bitcoin's at 55,000, right? Like I would have thought. I would have thought it would have went. I mean, obviously it touched like 49.7, right? But that's not the point, right? So let me pull up TradingView really quick. What did I tell you guys, right? Let me throw some charts up. Let me throw some indicators up. Let me chart this out really quick. So give me 1 second here to do some charting. And look at that. That's a massive what is it called? A hammer candle, right? Wicked all the way down here, recovering up here, right? Like that's massively bullish as a candle in and of itself, right? It had weakness, recovered in strength. So again, let's chart this. Let me just go on the monthly, so we're already on the same page. Again, don't forget to like and retweet the show. I really appreciate you guys tuning in here today. All right, let's do this. Actually, let's do the weekly, and then I'll jump over to the monthly. The weekly just has more candles, so you can kind of just see how it's playing out. Why is it not working? Okay, I don't know why it was being weird there. All right. Basically this 53K level, right? So it did go below it, right? I think this is the first time since February actually that we've breached the level, right? For a wick specifically, right? But we haven't. I did say I'm not really concerned about any of the price action on any of these tokens, including Bitcoin, especially if the body doesn't close below. So if we start closing bodies below this 53 level, I'd be pretty concerned. I've been saying that. I'm going to stick with that. And then, of course, I did say September, October, most likely is when we would first break the 73K range. So right about up here, this upper wick. So again, we haven't really seen anything that I'm concerned about. Now, in terms of indicators, right, we could talk about RSI, stochastic. Some people I'm watching are always saying various things, right? Some people are saying we broke below, what was it, the 75, I believe, historically. Where's the 75? Oh, let me go to the monthly. All right. So where are we at? We're still above the 50, still in a bull run. Nothing's really changed there for the RSI. So for the stochastic, though, we are below the 75 now, which has historically been pretty significant during our bull runs. But we're still above this 50 level, but we have not crossed yet, right? So this is the one I was talking about. I was watching this one in particular. Let me just turn the RSI off. This is the one I was watching really, really closely over the weekend. I did say August, maybe September will cross, but most likely August. And then if we cross above blue going into perhaps October, that would make a lot of sense. That's just 100% in line. Everything I've been saying, everything I've been charting. Now, again, if we see anything that just invalidates this, right? We break down through here, we see more downside below the 50, right? We cross down here, like everything I'm saying, basically forget it, right? It's going to be probably another 6 months to a year, right? We're gonna have to see another cross at some point. We're gonna have to wait till next summer, right? A lot of changes are gonna have to be made, right? But that just gives, if that happens, right, which no one really wants to see, if that were to happen going into next summer, which could be a possibility, right? And it's not this October, but next summer. If that happens, arguably every single use case, every single marketing opportunity that Hedera has, that's just that much more time for us to be like, hey, you know what? We should be in the top 10. We need to get our marketing in line, right? Even if we have a couple months left for the bull run, before we see more downside, whatever, Hedera's marketing just at the end of the day just needs to be taken to the next level, right? I actually wasn't planning on talking about this specific point today, but now that we're on this point, I'm gonna actually pull some stuff up on X. But again, I haven't really seen anything that makes me too concerned. Now, obviously, the lower this goes, the weaker Bitcoin and H bar and so on are going to become. H bar could go into 4 cents, right? Maybe even 3. No one wants to see that. It could happen, right? But of course, I'm still betting. I'm still planning on October being pretty strong. Historically, Octobers are very, very strong. And again, volatility wise, especially if you have a token on Hedera, any token for that matter, right? Go look at any token on Solana right now, on Ethereum, on Avalanche, whatever, right? They're down. If Bitcoin went down 10, 15% yesterday and H bar, same thing, right? Well, your token might be down 20 or 30%, right? Because people are trying to panic sell, they're going to buy, and then guess what? The moment that Bitcoin starts going back up into the 60s, your token's up 50%, 20. It's like, it's just crazy, right? But being super patient, not getting shaken out, especially if you're trading, right? Which for me personally, I'm not really trading too much at this time. But of course, if you are looking to buy, the times that you see the biggest dips, the times that you see the RSI at the lowest levels, let me throw the RSI back up. Now I'll throw it on the weekly so you guys can see. Here, give me 1 second. All right, so RSI, let's go back to the weekly. I'm talking making buys on the week to week range. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin up below the 40 level at this point, you don't really see it that often, right? Look, you can just go back and look, right? Last time we were at this level on the RSI on the weekly was literally at the bottom of the bear market last cycle, or last year, not last cycle, last year, right? Like, we don't see momentum this low really ever, unless we're in a bear market, right? At the bottom of the bear market, right? So again, stay super level headed. If you need to learn as much as possible, oh, look at this. About charting, right? When to buy in, right? All that kind of stuff. Like, literally, this market is designed to shake you out, right? To take your money, to make you lose everything, essentially, right? It's not engineered, because it's a psychological thing, right? It's not engineered for you to make a lot of money. That's why 95% of people are just losing money every single day, right? It's not designed for you, unless it is designed for you, because you're not going to get shaken out. You're going to be super patient, right? So look at the fear and greed index. I didn't even realize, but 2 days ago we were at in the 60s. Look at that. Over the weekend, that's our last show, we're at 60, 50, in the 55 range. Right now we're at 31. Okay, 31. We didn't even get this low during the last bottom of the bear market. We were at 34, so 33. And some people were talking about how this has been the worst pullback, at least sentiment wise, and maybe other side, like stocks and stuff, since the 2020 crash, right? A lot of you guys might have been in the market during that time, right? So let's see, when was that crash? Is this 2020? No, it's probably around here. Oh, okay, well, I'm not. Oh, that's Bitcoin dominance. I thought that was a different chart. But crypto fear and greed index, right? Basically, if you're buying at any point right here in this fear zone, right, and maybe even some in the yellow, you're gonna do well. So if you're looking to unload some dry powder, chances are you should be doing that like right now, last night, over the weekend, right? Like, these are the times. And again, not financial advice, just sharing with you historically what is the best move to be made. And guess what? You guys can see, right? There's only so far any token, and especially Bitcoin, Hedera, so on, right? They can only go down so far before they absolutely rip back to the upside. Let's not forget, we're still fundamentally in a bull run, so anything can happen at any time. And again, look at this. Bitcoin's at 54K, right? Let me pull trading view up one more time before we get into the latest news as well. All right, no indicators this time. All right, so what did I tell you guys, right? From this level right here, basically in this 53 range, right? What did I say? I said if we are still range bound in this channel, right? Which again, we were all the way up here and a week ago, right? Not even that long ago, and we're all the way down here within a week. Who's to say in another week or two we can't be all the way up here, right? You've seen how volatile all of this is, and again, we could drop down here. No one wants to see that, but it could happen. But 73K as the current local top, right, down to 53K. And I'm just talking about candle closings, right? This candle hasn't closed yet, so we'll have to see where it closes. These wicks, I do not count the wicks, right? Mainly talking about where the candles are closing, right? 73K, I told you guys, 30 to 40% pullback is very normal in a bull run. We did have a 30% pullback already. That's about the 53 level. 40% would take us, it will take us, right, if we go down there, to about 46 to 43. So we could, and which is super healthy for a bull run, which could possibly lead us through the next summer, right? Let me go on the weekly. We gotta do some higher time frames here over the summer. So we could be range bound above this level. Let me move it down a little bit. Right here, we could be range bound in this range, depending on if we do have a further cross down, which I've been saying for a while now. Now, Bitcoin is able to break up above here, which currently it doesn't look like it, right? But again, this market's so volatile, anything could really happen at any time. I've never seen more bullish catalysts across the board, right? And I told you guys, regardless of who's elected, and Trump is mainly the one that was speaking at the Bitcoin conference, right? He's talking about how 100 days into the presidency, if he's elected, right, regulations will be in play, right? Like, I don't know how you can get any higher than that, right? Like, I don't know how much more bullish the ecosystem will be, right? Everyone's like, oh, okay, well, now there's adoption, right? All that kind of stuff. Like, I would argue that is the top, which would most likely be Q4, Q1, right? Q4 of this year, Q1 of next year. If what he says is true, if he's elected, if Kamala's elected, I have no idea, or another candidate for the matter. I'm not sure, right? A lot of the Democratic Party's pretty against crypto still, from what I understand, right? But again, I'm not. This isn't about who's voting for who or what. I'm just kind of sharing the news on what's happening. But again, we could, if we do break down, if we do see the stochastic RSI cross down right further. This is the level I imagine we'll be trading at. There's a ton of support, historical support, right here, over here, right straight across, right here and right here. So it's very possible. Of course, all your other tokens will take a hit, but I'm still betting stochastic RSI will cross sometime in October to the upside, right? So we'll just have to wait and see. Be super patient, right? Super vigilant. But again, if you're dollar cost averaging, you're being patient, you're waiting the market out, right? You have dry powder. You're staying level headed, right? You're analyzing this fear and greed index, right? You're understanding, hey, most people are very scared right now. Chances are this is when you start making purchases. Of course, if we go lower, this will only go lower, right? Which will basically mark an even further lower sentiment, lower zone, right, to be purchasing in. But again, being super patient, be abundantly patient, because pretty much every token took a massive hit, right? So we mainly cover Bitcoin and Hedera on this here on the show, but pretty much every token took a massive hit, right? Ethereum down 20, or I guess that's on the 7-day, right? 26.35% on the 24-hour, 10%. Solana 27, almost 30% down, right? Like, these are massive cuts. So I'm just going to kind of skim through here so you guys can all see. Pretty much the average is about 20 to 30% down, right? Most tokens. Let's jump to Hedera. I actually don't know how much Hedera is down. Hedera's only down 21%. That's actually not that bad in relation to some of these other tokens. So if you were in some of these other tokens, you're actually down worse in some of those other tokens than Hedera. And Hedera's back to 35. right? And just like abundant reminder, right? 1.88 billion market cap. Let's see, up in the top 20s. Let's see, 20, right? 3.9, 3.8, right? That's a 2 billion difference in market cap, right? Like it's not, if Hedera doubled in price, right? Hedera would literally be in the top 20 in the teens, essentially, right? Like it's not that crazy. There's not much of a difference between Hedera and a lot of the top 20 tokens in terms of price for market cap, right? And then if you want to really break into the top 10, it's about a 5x, 6x from where we are, right? But let's go into some of the news as well. Here, I'll change my screen here shortly, but again, we're not at levels where I'm very, very concerned. Again, a lot of this has been just kind of um, shared here on our show. We've been talking about it, and yeah, I mean, just stay super patient, stay super level headed, and guess what? These are the times where you find your gems, right? You got to go out of your way, start finding, right? You got to start finding the opportunities, the tokens, the founders, right? The platforms that you really want to bet on and bet on them, right? So let me share my screen here on X. Don't forget to like and retweet our show here today. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. I can retweet the broadcast as well. While you're at it, I appreciate that. Today, our show is sponsored by Gilmore Estates GC token. Let me update the banner so you guys can see our sponsor as well. They're tokenizing real estate here on Hedera. Massive shout out to them. Make sure to go shoot them a follow at Gilmore_Estates. I'm really excited to see what they're doing, redefining real estate learning and earning platform, and invest in tokenized properties built on Hedera, learning in the metaverse. Make sure to go shoot them a follow and check out what they are doing. Much love to them and their support for our show here today. All right. There's a ton of alpha I do want to get to today. Also, before here, there's a bunch of things I want to cover today. Give me 1 second. Let me reshare my screen. There's a couple other things I want to share before I get into the news. All right, and feel free to share this stream with a friend as well. There's not a lot of people that are gonna stick around, arguably, once, especially if we do have a further pullback, which I've been saying it's very, very possible. So very much so plan for a lot of your platforms and founders to just kind of go away for a while. And guess what? A lot of people are going to come back either in a couple months or next summer at some point, right? So just be super observant, be very much aware of what's going on in the market and why people are here as well. And like I said, why the market is designed the way it is. And there's people that are going to take advantage of that, right? So be abundantly aware of that. Don't get caught taking losses, right? And if you have questions, whatever, shoot me a DM. Happy to keep you up to date with the latest alpha as well. All right, especially here in Hedera. So let me share this tab here. Something I really, really want to cover. We've been talking about karate combat, karate combat a ton, rightfully so. I really want to talk about karate combat even more here on the show. I have some ideas for it. Postmaster, I see you down there, brother. Shout out to you. Let's do a shout out to the room before we continue on. Shout out to all of the people here in the broadcast. I can't see who you are, but again, let me know in the live chat if you are here. Just hit that button on the bottom center to let me know you are here. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to everyone in the spaces. Saucy Girl, Epic Collection, H-Bar Elite, OTIA, Jaguar, Crypto, Crypto Tracker. What's good, you guys? Gilmore Estates, our sponsor. Shout out to you, brother. D-Man, Lil Woozy, Hashe, IMX, Postmaster. What's good, y'all? It's great to see all of your amazing faces. I can't wait for this bull run to get underway, and it's going to be absolutely crazy. But this bull run is only going to be given to those who are super, super patient. I truly believe that. All right. So in terms of Hedera marketing, right, there's a lot of conversations being had right now, a lot of takes being had, right? So if you guys, here's something I do want to know, right? Please DM it to me, comment live on the show, comment it on the stream here. Let me know, how can Hedera improve their marketing? What does that look like? Is it going to be through karate combat? Is it going to be through spaces and shows? It's going to be through specific accounts? Like, let me know what does that look like? So I'm going to give some more ideas, some more feedback here. So we talked about how the Hedera logo on Karate Combat, right? It was just the Hedera H, right? And I think it just said Hedera on the mat, right? And then now it says built on Hedera, which is cool, right? That's great. That's something we want to see. So here's something that kind of caught my eye. I was scrolling through the Hedera page over the weekend, as I usually do, just kind of like thinking to myself, just what could be done differently, right? How can we continue to improve as an ecosystem? And I want the community to really, really start to speak up even more and feel empowered, right? So here's the bio for Hedera, right? It says Hedera is an open source, leaderless proof of stake network that powers the next generation of the web. For network status, visit Hedera status. Okay, so just first take, right? Just being abundantly transparent here, right? No one really knows or cares what open source is unless you're a developer, right? Again, if this is for devs or maybe enterprises, like this is important to know, right? Leaderless, proof of stake, that's very true, right? That's what the ABFT, that's what the A stands for, right? Network. I mean, a lot of that, the average degenerate or retail, right, just doesn't really know what it is, right? Powering the next generation of the web. That's great. I think that sounds good, right? It's catchy. So network status, visit this, right? I don't know if that needs to be there or not. That's just my personal take, right? So let's jump to Solana. Here's the reason why I'm sharing this, right? Actually, before I do that, let's jump back to Hedera. I'd give you a little teaser one more time. The banner says open source public ledger for everyone, right? So again, open source, shared again. The public ledger, right? It's for everyone, right? The H is over here, right? Um, Kind of a basic background, to be honest, and it's just like a logo, like a outline of it, right? It's super basic, right? Nothing crazy. It just kind of screams like um, it screams just like technology, right? Like whatever this is, open source, whatever ledger is, right? Like I know what it is, but most people are just gonna be like, yeah, I don't really care, I guess, right? It's just it is what it is. Now Solana, you go over here, and I was just looking at this over the weekend, right? I was like, I wonder what looks different. I don't even have to say anything, right? You guys can see it for yourself. Don't really have to say much, but I will share my honest take here, right? You look at Solana's page, right? Obviously, the logo. I don't really need to comment on the logo. It is what it is. Same with Hedera, right? You can't really. I'm not even going to advocate for changing it or anything. The banner, obviously, I'll cover the banner after I cover the bio. Solana is a blockchain, right? So just off the rip, right? Most people are going to know in some capacity what a blockchain is, or just they're familiar with that term, right? Hedera doesn't have that term in it, so that's already just a loss in and of itself, regardless if we are a hash graph or we can be considered blockchain, whatever, right? Okay, it's built for mass adoption, right? So another point, it's a certain type of technology that is the main buzzword essentially used for Web3. It's built for mass adoption, right? So if someone's thinking of building here, looking at it, whatever, this is what is going to be the future, essentially, right? Mass adoption is a forward thinking term, essentially, right? Built for mass adoption. And then there's a little section here, right? Why is it built for mass adoption, essentially, right? It's fast, composable, green, globally distributed, right? Globally distributed is more along the lines of what Hedera is talking about, right? It's the leaderless proof of stake network, right? It's along the consensus security and consensus aspect, right? So both of them have that as well. But it's more so talking about the nodes, right? The community nodes, how their nodes are operated essentially, right? And then I'm not sure what this X by Solana Foundation is. I don't remember seeing that over the weekend, but yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. And then we could unpack the Solana Foundation in comparison to the Hedera Foundation, right? And even if you want to do that, right? Solana Foundation actually has the word Solana Foundation in it with the Solana logo. The HR Foundation does not. It just has the logo, right? Of like the nodes or whatever. But unless you know that logo, you're not going to think it's Solana. It's the Hedera Foundation, right? So again, we can unpack the Solana Foundation too, right? In comparison to Hedera Foundation as well. And again, if you're listening, if you're part of the Hedera Foundation, you're part of Swirls, wherever, right? Like these are the conversations that need to be had a year ago, 2 years ago, right? Like if we're having them now, okay, it is what it is. But basically, like these things need to change like right now, right? In terms of marketing, community, onboarding, right? Like the Hedera branding right now does not scream anything in terms of onboarding to retail. When I look at this, I don't see anything retail related. So here's the next point, right? Going on the banner specifically. So banner, these are all NFT PFPs, right? So you have the Solana Monkey business, right? And you can kind of just go and look at all the other um, partners or whatever, right? I don't actually know what this picture is of all the people. It's probably a meetup or something, right? Like that's a really big deal. And if it's a meetup of all these people that are actually builders and community members and retail, right? There I see retail here on Solana specifically. Okay, well, that's just a massive, arguably a massive win, and that is what represents essentially, right? Solana, right? It's not a governing council circle or whatever, right? Which again, I don't want to dog on or harp on the governing council. I get it. Retail pays the bills. That's a fact, right? Until we see the governing council actually tokenizing use case on Hedera, building on Hedera, right? AKA buying HBARs, right? We can't really say the governing council pays the bills, right? So I'm not going to go too deep into the Solana account, but this is just a taste of what I'd like to see personally, and arguably a lot of people would like to see change, right? Building for mass adoption. Here's some very simple, easy ways, and then of course the Solana Foundation is tagged as well. So I think these are pretty simple and obviously polarizing views on the overall marketing front, right? This is a first impression, arguably, of what Hedera is, right? So I'm super bullish on Hedera, what it could be. And then here's a perfect example, right? We have the Institute of International Finance. That was one of the biggest posts I saw all day today, right? Hedera, we're excited to announce that Hedera has officially joined the IIF, Institute of International Finance, joining the likes of, we have Circle, Coinbase, and BlackRock, right, and other leading institutions to collaboratively foster global financial stability and sustainable economic growth. So I don't know what other cryptos are part of this. I haven't really dug too deep into it, but again, Hedera being in the conversations, right, amongst other leading institutions, fostering global financial stability and sustainable economic growth, right? Like these are the wins that Hedera needs. I know some people just kind of made some comments on it, right? And I can kind of scroll through it on everyone that's part of it or really excited about it. But yeah, I mean, this seemingly is a big deal for Hedera. And again, more and more news like this is essentially up the sleeve, and what I imagine will be in line for Hedera moving forward as well. So I think it's just a matter of time, and we have to kind of just see more and more governing council news as well as the market continues to mature. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of big news still from Hedera until we get some better price action as well. I think we'll see the biggest governing council use cases and so on, right? Once we're near like some of the tops, which obviously we'll cover here, and I'll just say, hey, look, we were right? Like the biggest news, and it'll probably move the price quite a bit as well. Why would Hedera be announcing its biggest use case or whatever, right, during times like this, right? And arguably even through these last times, unless we want to really break into that top 20, top 15, top 10, right? Like it's very possible, and I do believe Hedera is very much positioned for that, right? And a lot of people would disagree, and that's totally fine. But Hedera seemingly is the place to be in Web3, right? All right, Jim Cramer, you guys probably know him, right? Feels done, but historically a big one-day sell-off does not lead to a bottom. Should be more to come after this bounce. So I guess I read that wrong earlier, but usually the inverse Kramer, right? You do the opposite of whatever he's saying. You should be good. He called for a consolidation, a rally recently, and obviously the opposite is happening. So He said it doesn't lead to a bottom, should be more to come. So it's very possible this is the bottom, right? I've been saying the fear and greed. We covered TA for the first 30 minutes of the show. Again, nothing's really changed on my end. Bitcoin's still above the levels that I've been calling for, right? Again, none of this is new information. So if we do rally going into October, you're going to know, hey, iPixel's on something, right? He's been right for basically all of 2024 and the end of 2023 as well, since we've been doing these shows. All right. I'm not going to unpack too much what Carlos said here, but CO Coin, again, make sure you're following him if you're not already. Founder WiseKey and CO Coin, they're looking to do some stuff and they're connected with SpaceX. So super, super bullish and excited to see what they are doing. It's a major milestone step forward for their service providers and interconnected devices. So make sure to go check out what they're doing as well. The Internet of Things technology, and it's the successful execution of their groundbreaking proof of concept. All right. Looks like the HMO Foundation has a space tomorrow. All right, let's see. Also, here's something very, very interesting that I think is extremely important for people to be aware of in this market. Like, I just can't stress this enough, right? Like, if you are looking at the charts, if you're looking at your wallet every single day, right? Like, if you're not trading every single day, and obviously I've been super public about this. Do not trade every day unless you're very experienced, and even very experienced people take massive losses pretty often. I would highly recommend, if you're not used to trading, uh, you're just gambling, right? If you're trying to make a trade every single day, don't do that. Highly recommend against it. I highly advise against doing that. Not financial advice, just from personal experience as well. Most people, that's why most people lose money, because they're actually trying to trade every day. Maybe trade once a week, a couple times a week, maybe a couple times a month, right? I actually haven't made, full transparency, I haven't really made any trades in over a month, maybe a couple months. I'm being super patient. I have to just kind of wait, watch the market, right? I'm literally telling you guys what I'm doing personally here on the shows. Look at this. BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, and MicroStrategy have not sold their Bitcoin despite the market crash. You're getting shaken out, and you can replace that word with Hedera, right? You're getting shaken out during these times. Like, again, it's you're gonna continue to lose money. Just being super blunt here. If you are getting shaken out, if you were shaken out over the weekend, right? Like, you don't fully understand what is happening in the market if you're not patient and just waiting, right? Like, the bounce backs are always stronger and more violent than the drops, right? Like, if it drops 20, 30, 40%, and then it rallies like 5, 10x, you're going to be like, oh, well, maybe I should have waited. Like, yeah, you should have waited, right? Like, you got to be super patient in this market. Hedera was literally at 20 cents like 3 months ago, right? Like, that's not that much time, right? We're talking 90 days. Like, can you wait another 90 days and just sit on your hands, right? That's a 4x from here, right? Like, it sucks, right? If you're always staring, like, I don't even know what my portfolio is worth, right? Like, I haven't even looked at it, and obviously I could do it in my head. I know how much I have, but like, if you're gonna stress yourself out, right? And the more stressed you are, the more scared, the more upset you are. Guess what? You're trading on emotions. You're not trading on logic. Like, this space is the most engineered and geared towards people that are focused on the logic side. And the more emotional you are, the more fear you have, the more FOMO you have, right? Like, you're just gonna get wrecked. Like, I'm just being completely honest because I'm speaking from experience. Every time I FOMO traded, I got scared and I caught the falling knives, right? I got absolutely wrecked. I got absolutely destroyed. And that's where I took my biggest losses, to be honest. Over the last 3, 4 years, my biggest losses were on weekends like this, where I just absolutely kept trying to trade. I kept trying to revenge trade. If I took a loss, I tried trading again to make it up. Like, that's just gambling at the end of the day, right? I'm gonna call it as it is because I was doing it, right? I stopped doing that. I'm only going to buy on times like this. I'm only going to buy when the fear is at the highest, right? Maybe in the neutral zones, right? And obviously the big players, they're not selling anything, right? They're only going to continue to buy and accumulate as much as possible. So you either do what they're doing, do as they do, or just continue to get shaken out and get priced out of the market as it continues to rise, right? So be super abundantly aware of the market, how the market's treating you, and maybe some people won't like that I'm saying this, but the truth does hurt a lot of the times, right? It's so important to have someone telling you this, right? Because you don't want to be that person revenge trading, gambling, just losing it all essentially, right? Betting the house, whatever, because you just don't understand what's happening in the market, right? So I hope that's helpful news to you, and you're willing to take that to heart, because I really do care about each of you guys making it this cycle, and doing very well for yourselves. Here's something really, really cool. This isn't really a financial thing at this point. Jem from Tierbot, I don't know what else she works on, but I believe she's the community manager at Tierbot with Cantor. But they did like some Hatchinal Universe with Hatchinal. So funny enough, you guys can see the cosmonauts flying by right here. It looks absolutely awesome. I'm gonna open it up here so you can actually all see my screen. I thought it was just perfect. Like when I woke up, I saw this announcement. I'm not sure why it's a little blurry on the, but you can see all the cosmonauts flying around, all the little astronauts. I'll just kind of highlight all of them here. There's actually quite a few of them on this little Hatchinal universe. I reached out to Cantor. If you guys want to go check it out and see all of the little Hatchinals, and just see what's going on with it, go reach out to him. Go reach out to Cantor. Here, let me click it so I can kind of unpack this. And this is news to me as well, right? I didn't actually know he was doing this. Said introducing the Hatchinal Universe, 3D Cosmos that randomly loads inscribed Hatchinals to the page, embeddable everywhere, written entirely to the Hedera consensus service as a Hatchinal. Want to explore, so go like and retweet it. He'll DM you access to it. So he gave me access to it. Let me change my screen and let me see if I can. I'm not going to show you guys my DMs, so give me 1 second here. Let me pull up. You know what? I haven't actually done it on desktop. So let me see what it actually shows, so we can actually just kind of look at it together here. So give me 1 second. If you guys are on, whoa, it's crazy on desktop. Wow. Okay. Can I actually move the screen, or can I zoom out? No? Okay. Um, Here, give me 1 second. Don't see any cosmonauts. I might refresh it. I believe every time you refresh it, it loads new Hatchinals. Yeah, there you go. All right, and then I think you could just click random Hatchinals as well. I think that refreshes the page as well. So looks like you can mint these. I haven't minted. I did try it before, but I'll just kind of show you guys. Give me 1 second to show my screen. So you guys should be able to see my screen. And if you guys are on the Spaces side of things, feel free to hit the link up in the Jumbotron. I think I can interact with it. Earlier on my phone, I was interacting with it. Not sure if I can do it now. See, I'm just interacting with it here. So you can see some of the cosmonauts over here. Our little astronauts launch later this year, most likely. You can see a few of them here loading in. So Cantor told me basically it's just pulling 200 random inscriptions, and then sometimes the cosmonauts will load in as well. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more time to load in a few more, but you can basically see all the little astronauts floating around in the distance. I think it looks awesome. Personally, I'm planning on inscribing some of them once I figure it out. Looks like you can just hit mint the Hatchinal here, and it'll just pull up the transaction in your wallet. So it looks awesome. I'm really excited to see more of what the technology of Hatchinals provides. And I think this is a really, really cool way to kind of showcase all of it. Oh, there's another cosmonaut down there as well. But I think it looks awesome. Shout out to Cantor, shout out to Tierbot for, oh, here's another one. Yeah, there's quite a few of them. And again, he just said it pulls up about 200 random inscriptions from all the inscriptions. Look at that. You can see all of it loading. So I'll let it load one more time. I'm just going to let it load random ones and just refresh my page. Yeah, it's a lot to load, so it's probably hard to process. All right, looks like it's okay. It's loading some stuff. A few of them are popping in. All right, a bunch of the Defiance, the Punks, the the snogs, the typical suspects. You guys all are probably familiar. There's a cosmonaut up there. All the way up here, it's kind of hard to see him. Here's a couple other ones. I see one down here, one down here. I didn't know. I'm assuming that's the pixels. You can see the cosmonaut up there. A bunch of hash notes. So if you guys haven't inscribed the hash notes, wow, the snog, the not snog is coming up here on the bottom screen. Shout out to H-Pop. See another cosmonaut down there. There's one back here behind one of Patch's songs. There's a Hazy Hippo, the Giraffinal. I think that's another one of H-Pop's as well. Gabagools, he has a bunch of them. There's the cosmonauts. But yeah, I think these are cool. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, if you give it a little more time, there's a bunch of inscriptions that just load on your screen here. National inscriptions, I should say. Another cosmonaut. But yeah, it looks great. Oh, a bunch more cosmonauts are loading up. Yeah, this looks great. I love the way the little astronauts are floating. Oh, here's another one. And another one. Okay. Yeah, I've never actually let it. Can I zoom out? Can I zoom in? No, okay. So on mobile, I was able to zoom in. I guess on desktop you can't, but there's actually a lot. Wow. I guess I should just let it load longer. There's actually a lot of little astronauts floating around, and I just think they look amazing. They look a lot better than I thought they would, and they look awesome regardless. But they're in space. The background's space too, so they fit perfectly in. So yeah, shout out to Cantor. Go check it out if you want to see this for yourself on your screen, desktop, mobile, what have you. Works on both, but you can go check out what he's got cooking up over there, and I'm excited to see more of the use case of this, how it turns out. All right, let's go back to the latest news. Let me exit out. Looks like it's pulling quite a bit. My computer here. Let's see. All right, so we covered this last week as well. Saucer Swap with their on-chain governance, right? It looks like it's now live. The second post here, right? Their on-chain governance with Sauce and X Sauce as well. Super bullish on Saucer Swap and what they're doing. The leading DEX on Hedera. I'm not paid to say that. Just you can go check out what they are doing here in Hedera. Very, very exciting stuff related to them as well. All right, so I do follow some people that cover the price action as well. So yeah, I mean, technical inverse head and shoulders forming right. The next target 61K. So we're just gonna have to watch and see what happens with Bitcoin. Again, I'm not too concerned if we do even have a correction on the monthly below 53K. That's when I'll get concerned. We haven't seen that yet. We gotta see some candles closing lower before I let you guys know. Hey, you know what? It's probably gonna be another 6 months to a year. So again, nothing crazy. None of this is really broken through the support structure that I've been following. So I'm not concerned. If we do go lower, then it is what it is. I can't really do anything about it. I'll just continue to cover it. I don't really see it going lower, but if it does, then it does, right? We're just gonna have to watch and see. I'll keep you guys updated, and it could change from day to day, right? Tomorrow I could be telling you, hey, we are gonna go in the 40s, and it happens, right? And of course, HBAR will go lower, your HTS tokens will go lower, your NFTs will probably go lower, and so on, right? But again, be super abundantly vigilant. Dip buyers are being rewarded as predicted, right? So opportunity you wait for every few years. Don't blink and miss it. Pretty much anything across the board is a buy. Again, we could go lower, and like I said, everything at this point is a buy. For me personally, if I had more dry powder, I'd be accumulating as much as possible at these levels. Ethereum took a massive hit. We have not. A lot of these catalysts are still here, right? We have not seen a full-on altcoin bull run just yet, right? So whatever the all-time high is supposed to be for Hedera, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it for Ethereum. We haven't seen it for Solana. We haven't seen it for any of the altcoins that are not Bitcoin. We have not seen a top yet. So again, it could play out through next summer, which it seems seemingly more and more likely, but we have not seen the cross for Bitcoin just yet. So I'm not ruling that out just yet for this year. Top for Bitcoin, top for all your alts as well. So it hasn't really happened yet. Of course, the stock market absolutely tanked yesterday as well. So this is not an isolated event either, right? The stocks went down, other major currencies, right? Japan, right? They went down quite a bit as well. I don't know exactly what happened, but Japan. There's a bunch of news about the war, Iran, so on, right? Like there's so much happening. Absolutely crazy time to be in the market right now. All right, this will probably be the last post before we start winding down the space here. So again, don't forget to like and retweet the show. It's the best way to support our space. Just hit that button on the bottom right to like and retweet our show. All right, Bitcoin and Ethereum have unsurprisingly been the crowd's primary focus, but as crypto price rebounds have taken place, it's the more speculative assets, right? So that would be Hedera, meme coins, HTS tokens, so on, right? That are surging while the crowd ignores them, right? Trading 101 by the dips and times and sectors, right? Hedera would be a different sector than Bitcoin and Ethereum where the crowd isn't. Right now, the crowd is not in Hedera, right? Let's just be abundantly clear on that, right? And guess what? Over the weekend, I spent hours and hours of my time listening. I didn't speak, but I did listen to a bunch of different cross-chain spaces, mainly in Bitcoin, mainly in Ethereum, mainly in Solana, and they're just talking about, hey, like, hey, is this builder still building? Is this platform still doing their thing? Is this whatever, right? Like most of them are just either gone, most of them have capitulated, most of them are just trying to stay alive, right? But a lot of them are just gone, right? Or they're just like, hey, you know what? Currently, the exposure, the marketing, the liquidity is here on these chains. But they did say, hey, you know what? Last cycle, Solana wasn't even in the top 10, right? Like Solana wasn't in the top 10 last cycle. And to understand how fast sentiment, momentum, marketing, right, liquidity can shift from token to token, right? Suncoin wasn't in the top 10 either, right? There's a few of them in the top 10, top 20 that were not in the top 10, top 20 last cycle. This cycle, is Hedera going to? Well, it did already, right? When it hit 20 cents, it did touch number 19, right? Hedera is extremely primed, and I cannot stress this enough. Like supporting the content creators, supporting and speaking up, right? Because a lot needs to shift in this in Hedera in particular, right? Like I was listening to Brandon's show over the weekend as well, right? I try to catch up with all the news because I'm not able to listen to all the shows here in Hedera actively, but I try my best to stay up to date. If they're sharing other news that I'm not, right? Like he was talking about how the main Hedera account, right? And we talked about it here too. Like the main Hedera account did not really comment at all on anything related to Karate Combat, right? All they did was like they probably liked and then they retweeted the main live stream, right? Like that's like I'm not even laughing because it's funny. Like it's just like what is happening, right? Like if this is the main marketing use case that Hedera has, apart from like what is it? What is oh my gosh, what is it? I'm thinking the word Aptos. It's not Aptos. It's oh my gosh, my mind's blanking. What is the use case that's providing all the transactions on the network? I'm pretty sure it starts with the A. My mind's just blanking right now, but just have law in my mind. But in terms of oh my gosh, what is it called? I can't believe I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but my mind's just blanking on that one. But essentially, we see one of the biggest, if not the biggest, right? Arguably, Karate Combat is now the biggest exposure use case on Hedera. Using Hedera, talking about Hedera, right? Like, if we don't have the main Hedera, which I already talked about the main account on Hedera, the main account on Solana, right? HBAR Foundation, and so on earlier in the show. Like, if they're not engaging with Karate Combat, with only LARPing, with the H Barbarians there, right? We have Postmaster, right? Absolutely killing it. He went to the last event, right? Like, if it's just, I don't know how to say it, just saying, hey, you know what? Like, it's unacceptable, right? Like, as a marketing, I don't know who's running it or what's happening. If I know there's some new faces and positions there and so on, right? But Karate Combat cannot be, and this goes for future major use cases, right? Like if we have a use case to that level, and then let's just say we had another one, right? Whatever it is, right? It could be anything at this point. Hyundai or whatever, right? We have the H suite. I'm blanking on Siacom or something, right? That one has a bunch of TPS now on the network, right? Or transactions for NFTs, right? Like if there's news that's coming out and our use cases that are really onboarding people in this massive way, right? It's just it's a ball drop, right? Like it's an absolute ball drop. just calling a spade, right? Like there's no way moving forward that use case on Hedera are going to be like, yeah, that's okay, right? Like we're not being supported, we're not being talked about. We're just going to get a retweet maybe, if that, and then just call it a day, right? Like that fundamentally has to change, and it needs to change again yesterday, a year ago, 2 years ago, right? Like that has to change. So again, if you're listening from Swirls or whoever I don't even know. To be honest, I have no idea who runs the Hedera account. So if any of you guys know, please comment it. Let me know who runs it. But if you're listening, right, or if the intern's listening or whoever runs it, right, that absolutely has to change because the overall sentiment is going to be seen from other builders, communities, outside of Hedera, right? Not even just inside Hedera, like just taking a step back outside of Hedera, like which obviously doesn't need to be done. We need to be highlighting the inside right now. But if the mindset is, well, we just need to market to the cross chain and bring people cross chain or whatever, right? Well, if you're just completely arguably the word would be neglect, right? And that might be a bit harsh, but if the word's just neglecting, negligence, whatever, to engage on the retail side of things, because arguably karate combat is retail, right? If you just miss that opportunity, what other opportunities down the road are going to be missed? And that's not really a question I want to be asking or know the answer to if we continue on the path, right? So that absolutely has to change. And guess what? The H Barbarian retail community, there's quite a few of us left. There's quite a few of us here, regardless of the market pricing, right? I can only imagine how many people would rally around karate combat, which I've been saying arguably is a really big win for our ecosystem, regardless if you buy the token or if you ever go to the events. The Hedera main Hedera account, right? People have their notifications on. People will rally, like, retweet, comment, whatever, right? Like there is a retail community here that is absolutely incredible, absolutely phenomenal, that wants to be led, wants to rally, right? Like that is something here, right? But if we go another year and Hedera doesn't support karate combat outside of a retweet, right, and doesn't engage with the community, doesn't change their banner, right, or their bio, whatever, right? Like there are people, and I don't even want to know the answer to this either. Which again, that it's a symptom of something that's happening that needs to change very fast. Um, how many people from the karate combat events right now are learning about Hedera, right? How many new retail members are learning about Hedera, listening to our shows, listening to other shows happening in the ecosystem, and hearing, hey, like Hedera has these pain points that need to change, right? And it's like, are they choosing to build here? Are they choosing to research or learn? What are their first points of contact, right? Is their first point of contact the main Hedera account, the HBAR Foundation account, my account, one of your guys' accounts in the show here today, right? Like, whose accounts is the first points of what's the first touch points for new people coming to Hedera, right? Because you can't tell me that because of these karate combat events, people are not at least looking up the main Hedera account, right? Like even if it's a couple dozen people every single event or a couple hundred people, right? Like people are researching and learning, and are those people being onboarded? I don't know the answer outside of are they being onboarded to karate combat tokens and the wallet, right? Which is great. That's a massive first start. But are we bringing those people into the ecosystem, into DeFi? Are we bringing them into NFTs? Whatever it is, right? Various communities. If the answer is no, how do we change that, right? So that's the question. That's something to really, really think about as a community here, to really figure out how do we onboard people and bring them in further, right? Or just learn more and understand that they're on Hedera. And at some point in the future, they don't need to know that they're on Hedera, right? But in the time now, I think we're still in that point where it's like, yeah, we have to battle to get into the top 10, top 20, right? We still have to understand there's a difference between blockchain and Hashgraph, right? Like there's fundamental things that do need to change. And a lot of that has to do with marketing first and foremost, right? I do need to find that karate combat a Hedera ad at some point. If any of you guys know where it is, I tried looking it up. I could not find it. I'll have to find it at some point in the future. But yeah, I mean, to get in the conversation again, with karate combat is probably going to be the biggest way moving forward to have that happen, at least for this current cycle, unless there's other use cases that are as big or bigger. But we have to, as a community, be able to rally and support the people that are going, have the conversations about it, right? That's why I'm super excited. And I have been super excited and bullish on people like Postmaster, right? Epic Collection. I think you dropped off to space, but people like you guys, right, that are going, engaging, right? We had other platforms go over there from Hedera as well, and it's just awesome, right? To see, it's awesome to just continue to watch as so many more people are getting onboarded into the space and learning more. But again, those first touch points, I cannot stress that enough, especially if you're working at Swirls and you're listening. If you're working at the foundation, you're working really anything in relation to Hedera marketing, like this is such a massive, and again, doesn't you don't need to go and say, hey, go buy karate tokens or any of that stuff. People make that decision for themselves. Trust me. What I am saying is the marketing for here for Hedera, like it's such a massive opportunity, right? And a lot of it, unfortunately, is still very much untapped. And that needs to change. That needs to change so fast. And there's only so many times I can say that, right? Or so many ways to say it until the community is like, hey, like, yeah, let's every single, for instance, I don't care if I get the credit or whatever, right? But for instance, let's say during the next karate combat event, right? Like, what's stopping every single H barbarian right now from coming together and commenting, I don't know, built on Hedera or something? Fighters, I made a post of this a while ago, right? But like fighters fight harder on at Karate Combat or something, right? Built on Hedera, something like that, right? And everyone likes and retweets that or quote retweets or whatever, right? Like every single time there's a Karate Combat event, right? Like what is it going to take for every single H barbarian to come together and just make posts during the day, right? Like who's stopping people, right, from doing that? And like I'm going to try to do something like that during the next events. And who's to say you guys are not following and maybe turning notifications on for the Karate Combat account, right? Or only LARPing or whatever, right? Postmaster or President Awesome, right? Asim, all these people, right? That are getting more engaged, that are pushing Karate Combat, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not here pushing the token. You guys can make it up for yourself. You're gonna buy it. Engage with the platform. Arguably, you should engage with the platform in some capacity as well. You don't even have to buy tokens, honestly. You could just get free ones. I think it's like 88 just for signing up for the platform. So again, that the onboarding opportunity, the engagement, the exposure opportunity that Karate Combat has, and other potential use cases that we should be pushing very hard, right? Um, those opportunities, if they're not pushed by the main Hedera account, if they're not pushed by the HBAR community, like they are arguably opportunities that are absolutely squandered, absolutely lost, and it's just something that won't put us on the map, right? Every little thing that we're doing here, and arguably Karate Combat's a big thing, right? Even if it's 100,000, still 130 or whatever. Yeah, maybe that's not like a crazy amount of people, but in comparison to people that are using crypto platforms, right, and are bullish on it showing up, that's a lot of people, right? That can learn about what we're doing here, right? And it doesn't. I'm not talking about shilling them your tokens or your bags or your NFTs or whatever. Like that's not the point, right? A lot of people think that's the point, but that's not the point, right? The point is understanding that hey, you can come and build and use this technology and engage with it, and all the other things come with that, right? But the first touch points have to be hey, understanding whether it's the hackathons or whatever, right? Understanding that you have to be able to be onboarded first before you can actually engage, right? So onboarding has to be, and you can't onboard without marketing, right? I don't remember whose quote. I think Brandon was talking about this. All right. I hope you guys can hear me. I believe the spaces crashed for a couple seconds there, so you guys should be able to hear me now. I believe Brandon was talking about this on his last show, and he was talking about how I don't remember which CEO or whatever, but he was just basically making an example, right? Which I completely agree with this. My background's marketing as well. I completely agree, right? The the best products, the best um, toolkit, the best platforms, whatever, right? Unfortunately, good, right? If you're not the best, but maybe you're a good platform, you have good UI, whatever, right? You know what's going to win out, unfortunately, right? Because a lot of devs, a lot of platforms, they put a lot of work in, a lot of time, a lot of effort, right? But marketing, and this goes for the enterprises, startups, right? It's a universal thing at this point. Like the marketing side of all of this is what brings in new people, right? It's going to be ultimately what brings you in. Obviously, if your platform is not that good, and of course, you can write off what I'm saying, but you don't have to have the best tech. You don't have to have the best ABFT or whatever, right? That Hedera has. Even if Hedera is better than Solana, Solana is just better than Ethereum and better than and Bitcoin, right? That's why people are over there, right? That's why people are trading DeFi over there because it is better in a lot of ways. But the marketing and the overall degen retail impression is second to none, right? Like arguably from what I'm seeing, all the metrics, Solana should be, and I'm not trying to hype Solana too much, but Solana should be above Ethereum right now. Like there's nothing that I'm seeing that Solana should not be above Ethereum. Just full transparency, all the metrics, everything that I'm studying, watching, right? There's no reason, right? And we have a massive, right, and a couple others I think that'll come online probably through this year. Karate Combat, right? Like seeing something like that, that reminds me of Solana, right? And if we miss this opportunity, like again, I don't want to know the answer to what is it going to look like for Hedera, or just us, right? And again, we could see governing council do their thing and everything's going to be fine and whatever. But in terms of retail and overall sentiment for what Hedera is, what they support, what their culture is, right? Like fundamentally, and again, if you're listening, you do any marketing for Hedera, you run their account, whatever, right? Like fundamentally, there needs to be a core culture shift. And I know some people say, hey, it's for regulations and we can't post certain things, whatever. Like I'm pretty sure you can post something about Karate Combat and not get in trouble. You know, like I'm pretty sure you can post something about a platform building on Hedera, and that's pretty much okay, right? Like I don't know what the extent of the regulation side, and go look at Solana. You know, just literally just go look at Solana and just take notes. Go study it. I'm not talking about hiring me or anything like that. Like obviously, I'm happy to connect and network and do all that stuff, but marketing wise for Hedera, arguably is the only major thing that Hedera needs to just be in the top 10. Like I just, it seems like a no brainer to me. Everything I'm studying, Hedera could be the Solana for this next cycle. Everything seems to be that way, right? The UI, UX, right? For most platforms seem ready, seem strong for Hedera. I don't really see a reason why Hedera cannot succeed outside of a lack of marketing, a lack of strength in leadership, right? In terms of marketing and the overall culture, overall sentiment, right? Or what Hedera brings to the table. So with that, again, I've been saying that for some time, but until we see that, right? I know Charles mentioned after the article came out, which I don't remember exactly when it came out, but he did say within a few weeks he's going to start doing spaces. So that should be about now. So I'm just going to be patient. I'm not going to call him out or anything, right? I'll just be patient and wait. I'm not going to like tag him, right? And say, hey, when's your spaces or whatever. I'll wait, right? These things take time anyways. But I'm really excited to see him in particular, right? Doing spaces. That's a massive push towards everything that I'm talking about, right? The overall culture shift. And if he is the main person just kind of leading at the governing council meetings, okay, well, that is a fundamental culture shift. That is a massive headway. It's providing a massive inroads and headway towards Hedera marketing. So I'm super excited to see that come to fruition. I'm super excited to see, super bullish on Karate Combat in particular, to see what they are going to continue to do and onboard people. And how do we continue, right, to onboard people to Hedera? What are those first touch points, right? If any of you guys want to help with that, just shoot me a DM. Let me know what you guys think. I did say we're going to start wrapping up the show, but I'll let you guys see this as well, that announcement with IIF as well, with Hedera, Danny Eid, HBAR wrote, right, SciComm. That use case went live, it looks like. So I gotta do a little bit more research on it. But the International Student Verifiable Credentials, Education Malaysia Global Services. So it looks like they were minting a bunch of NFTs. Very, very exciting stuff. Obviously, Karate right under it, Dovu, and so on, right? So very, very important for our network as well. So seemingly this is the reason why the TPS, part of the reason why the TPS went up as high as it did over the weekend as well. So I only see more and more bullish sentiment, bullish metrics that I'm personally looking for Hedera. And again, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to slow down until I see, and even then I won't. But until I see Hedera in the top 10, top 20, really, because that is definitely where we belong. But we don't belong there yet. I don't believe we belong there yet because we need to change our marketing. We need to change our culture. And there's only so much individuals can do unless you're working at Hedera. You are representing the brand through and through. I'm just here to let you guys know what I think. And if you guys appreciate, you find value in any of our content, again, and if you agree with anything I'm saying, right, don't forget to like and retweet the show here today. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in here every single day. Don't forget to like and retweet the stream. The best way to support our show here. And with that, we will conclude today's episode 223 of the Web4 Roundtable, sponsored by Gilmore Estates and GC Token, tokenizing real estate on Hedera. Massive shout out to everyone tuning in here today, and I will catch you all tomorrow for our Tuesday show at 5 p.m. EST. Place to be in Web3. Much love, you guys. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Peace, y'all.